Thank you very much for coming to my presentation this morning. I hope you guys are having a good time in Las Vegas and also having a great time learning something about AI at this conference. We're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so to learn about one very interesting topic, which is my data ready for AI? Everybody's talking about AI, but is my data even ready for AI? If it's not ready, how do I make it ready? I think this topic should be of interest to many, many organizations out there that are interested in this AI journey. Before we start, I want to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Cheng. I'm the Vice President of Data Science at dotData. dotData is a technology company based out of San Francisco Bay Area. We are doing some cool innovation in the field of feature engineering. Feature engineering is a key technology component that will enable enterprises to make their data ready for AI. And I myself have been in this field of AI for about 15 years now, spending the first 10 years or so as a practitioner doing a lot of data science projects myself, and the last 5 years on the technology provider side. I really appreciate the conferences like AI4 because this conference really brings together the artificial intelligence community so that the practitioners can learn from the technology providers as to what is new in the field, and the providers can learn from the practitioners as to what is the real challenge, what is the pain point that the practitioners are dealing with. And in my presentation today, I'm going to be covering 3 topics. The first one is I'm going to be explaining to you some of the common challenges of enterprise data. And with that, you will understand why your data may not be ready for AI. And after that, I'm going to be telling you how dotData, as a company that is a pioneer in this field, how we are going to help you solve this problem to turn your data to be something ready for AI. And then the last part of the presentation, I'm going to be sharing with you a customer success story. This is one of the most recent customers we had. And they adopted dotData towards the end of the last year. In a couple months, they were really able to turn their close to 20 years worth of data into something that is actionable and then deliver very significant business value. So hopefully that story can provide inspiration for some of you guys who might be facing a very similar problem. Given the time limitation, and also given that this is a general session, I'm not going to be doing a product demo today. I really wanted to, but I'm not supposed to do that. But today, towards the second half of the lunch break, starting 1:30 in room 304, we are going to have a lunchtime happy hour. We'll try to make it very, very low key. So in that happy hour, we're going to do a product demonstration, or if you have specific questions you have after listening to my presentation today, you want to understand more about our product, please come to room 304, and we'll be there, and we'll be very happy to discuss with you with any questions you may have. So that's a plan for today. I want to start this presentation by saying that, in my understanding, data is actually very, very similar to this crude oil. Nowadays, we understand that many organizations, they have invested a lot of money in generating data, in accumulating data, in even acquiring data. But data by itself is not directly useful. This is very similar to crude oil. We know that the crude oil is very, very precious, right? But you cannot pump crude oil into your car. You cannot pump crude oil into an airplane. Crude oil needs to go through a very complex refinery process before it can turn into something that you can use. And data is very similar from that perspective. The data, what we call raw data, as you see it, that is sitting in your enterprise data warehouses, many times they are not intended for AI purpose. They were built for data quality. They were built for MDM type of purposes. So those data is not ready for AI, or for that matter, maybe for a lot of analytic purposes. That data needs to go through this data refinement process, just like the crude oil, in order to become something that you can use for your AI projects. So this is my assessment of the data, because I spoke to many customers who tell me, I have a lot of data, where do I begin, right? Data needs to be created, data needs to be processed before they can be used for artificial intelligence. Then the very natural question is, what is that the data refinement process is like? And this data refinement process, in the field, we call it feature engineering. Right. So feature engineering is a process that turns your data to be something that is AI ready. To better explain what is feature engineering, let me explain to you what is this overall workflow looking like when you are really working off of an AI project or working off of a machine learning project. You typically start with identifying a business problem, translating the business problem into something that you want to build a prediction model for. Right? That's a problem definition phase. And after that, you need to prepare for your data. You need to source the data. You need to do MDM for those data. That's what we call ETL. But ETL, generally speaking, is not a process intended for AI. That's why after the ETL process, you need to do a lot of statistical cleansing on your data. You need to do a lot of data combination, data aggregation to produce the data that can be directly fed into a machine learning model. So that process, I'm going to explain in a little bit more detail in the next page, is what we call feature engineering. And after that, you build your model, you put the model into production. This is the overall workflow. Right? As you can see here, there's a lot of tools doing ETL. There's Informatica, Paxata, right? There's many, many tools out there. There's also a lot of advancement from the technology perspective, doing machine learning, doing ML ops. But really, for this machine learning part, which is the most challenging part to turn your data to be something ready for AI, we don't have nearly as many choices. Right? That's why dotData, we believe this is a very, very significant area for us to work on. Then to best explain to you what is this feature engineering means to you, I want to maybe share with you this example. This is an example that I have been personally associated with. Right? There's this banking customer that came to us a couple years ago. They're in the business of doing this traditional consumer banking, credit cards, even some lending business, home mortgage. Right? They're interested in leveraging AI to analyze their massive data that they have accumulated over the course of 30, 40 years to see if they can utilize this data to help them promote a credit card product they are interested in. And specifically, they want to know if they can predict for the customers who are using that product, using that credit card product right now, which one is going to turn away. It's a very, very basic data science problem. Right? And in their mind, after the whole thing is built, they want to build a business dashboard. Every day, 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to show up that list of customers who might turn away. You're going to show what is the leading reason that they're going to go away. Then the marketing and the sales team can follow up with them, maybe even giving them a call or offering some kind of incentives to persuade them to keep that credit card. So this is the use case that they were thinking about. And you might not have worked on a churn problem for a bank. But I'm pretty sure for the vast majority of the audience today, given that this is an AI community, right, you have read about customer churn use case for data science project. You might have worked on a customer churn problem in a different industry. The business context may be different, the data may be different, but there's one thing I can guarantee that's very, very similar to this one, which is the data you are working with typically start with something like this. There's many, many, many tables. You don't start with one table, everything being prepared, you just build a model. Right? You start with many tables, some are complex, some are simple. Some are transactional, some are more maybe just a master data, right? Some are big, some are small. Then the challenge is how do you work off of this data? Because this data, as it stands right now, cannot be fed into any AI models. Right? And in order for AI to work, this data needs to be combined, needs to be aggregated, needs to be cleansed to formulate this kind of format, which is a single flat table, in which case the prediction target and the predictors are clearly defined. Right? So this process of condensing that much of information into this single flat feature table, which can be directly consumed by AI, is what we call feature engineering. And this is what it takes to turn your data into something that is ready for AI. So feature engineering is the solution to this $1 million problem. How can I make my data ready for AI? Now I'm going to very quickly explain to you what is the dotData solution. Before I do that, very brief introduction of dotData. We've been around for about 6 years now. We have a global customer footprint. Our customer, in terms of industry coverage, from healthcare, manufacturing, retail, even to financial services customer. We work with customers to solve their real problems. And we have received a lot of recognition from market research companies and also from technology giants like Microsoft and AWS. So this is the core of our technology, which is that in the field of feature engineering, we have built this automated feature discovery engine. And this engine is going to help you to turn your data into something that's ready for AI. Essentially, with this engine, you don't have to wait for a very, very long time to do that manual data scrubbing. Right? You can, instead of waiting for many months, within a day, you can turn your data to be something that's ready for AI experiments. And the core of our technology is that we have employed this data-centric approach to programmatically explore your data to discover features. And in doing that, we can eliminate this manual process of working off of your data, scrubbing your data. And also, in doing that, we can eliminate, or at least minimize the amount of human bias in this process. Then with this, we can help you build a lot of data assets that can be reusable. We can also help you generate the deployment-ready feature pipeline, which can be plugged into your AI models, and also which can be connected to any kind of AI deployment framework that you are thinking of. And conceptually, how this works is that when you have your raw data, you can connect this data to our feature discovery engine. And this engine can be either in the form of a Python programmatic interface or can be a graphic user interface, really depending on customers' preference. And with that, how it works is that first, you define what is the problem of interest, what are you interested in predicting, right? Then you define what the data sources are you interested in exploring. Then with that dotData, our engine is going to automatically explore the feature spaces that are relevant to this particular problem of interest. And in this process, we also do all the statistical cleansing. We're also doing the data combination, data aggregation, all those manual stuff that you typically have to hire a human to do. We can do all of this within just an hour or so. This is a part of our feature space workflow. And once this step is completed, we can provide the users with a list of features that are ready for AI models. And at this stage, the users can take our features. The users can even select the features. They can customize the features. They can even discard certain features that do not make sense. And after you complete all of this process, you have this feature deployment pipeline that is ready for you to use. So in doing this, we can really turn your data into something that is AI ready. And this entire technology works seamlessly with most of the modern analytical infrastructures. For example, it works pretty well with a lot of upstream and downstream analytical applications, database applications. It can be deployed onto AWS, can be deployed onto Azure, this kind of very common analytical infrastructure. For this part, I don't have time to go through it in detail right now, but if you come to our lunch hour, happy hour session, then we're going to do a detailed demo, and we're going to be discussing this part in greater detail. Now I want to spend a couple minutes talk about this customer story. I believe this one is probably of the most interest. So this customer, as I said, is the most recent customer we have had. One of the most recent customers we've had. We started working with them towards the end of the last year. In really just a couple months, they were able to deliver some pretty tremendous success that matters to their business. So this customer's name is called Exeter Finance. They're in the lending business. They provide auto financing services to the subprime, non-prime customers. So what this entails is that in their situation, they are constantly dealing with high-risk customers. Right? So risk is really at the core of their business. So for Exeter Finance, this company was founded in 2006. Their headquarters was in Dallas. They have about 1,500 employees. They work with more than 12,000 dealers and around 500,000 customers nationwide. They manage a book of a portfolio that is around $8.5 billion. So this is the company that I'm going to be introducing to you today. So they came to us actually maybe last year around October timeframe. And the way they explained is that risk is at the core of their business. Right? If there's anything that can be done to better assess and to minimize the risk, that will have tremendous business impact for them. And they have a lot of data. Right? They have 17, 18 years worth of data. Is there anything that can be done right? Utilizing AI to analyze that data so that they can have a better assessment of a customer's risk, right? So that's a problem. The challenge is that they are a small to medium size of a lender. They don't have an army of analytics team members, right? The team that we're working with, there's only the 3 of them, including the manager. So they were asking us if there's anything that we can help them with in terms of looking at their data, right? They said the use cases that they are interested in really is endless. It's all related to the risk. For example, how do I manage the loss risk, right? Because for those subprime borrowers, the risk is actually much higher for them to default. How do I manage that? They want to reduce the delinquency. They want to better predict those applicants' income, right, so that they can have a better pricing. Right? They want to understand what is, from the financial planning perspective, what is the chance that a particular account might default, right? Then with that, how can they have a better loss forecasting? That's a very key use case that they are talking about. And also, how can we predict the payoff risk? So the use case is really endless. And frankly speaking, with the right data, all of this problem can be solved. And they do have the right data, but they have too much of it. They don't know how to start. So that's their challenge. Right? So if you look at their data situation, I'm sure you can resonate with some of you guys, right? Like in their business, right? After 15, 20 years, they are really looking at in their databases, 50 to 100 separated, disjointed data sets, tables, schemas. Right? How do I combine them together? Which one is important? Which one is not? And also, in their case, they are dealing with a lot of transactional data. As we all know, transactional data, the volume is very huge. Most of the transactional table, in their case, is billions of records every year. Okay. How do you deal with that volume of data? Data of that complexity is something that they were really, really troubled when they wanted to start this AI journey. And specifically, for the transactional data, the challenge with it is that it provides too much low level or too much granular information. Think about for a given customer. Think about for a given customer, every time something happens, there's a new record. Make a payment, you talk to the customer, you interact with the customer. There are just so many things that is happening. That's why this table is very large. And how do they turn this something that very, very low level into a data that can be ingested into an AI model? That's their challenge. And also, they are in the financial services industry. Regulation is a key requirement. Whatever they do, from a model to the data processing, they need to be able to answer to the regulators. So these are their challenges. Then the problem we work with them is, we have this customer behavior score. So essentially, this is a fundamental risk score in their business. They use this score to have their account strategy, right? If a customer is of a high risk, if a customer is of a high risk, how can I, have a different kind of follow-up with this customer? Maybe give them a call, right? Or maybe send them a text message. And also with this, risk score, they can do better financial planning. And before they work with us, they had some rule-based process to use a small part of their data in building this risk score. But their interest is, can I use something even broader? For example, they call the customers, right? They even log down. How long was the conversation? What was the sentiment like when I was talking to them? Did they pick up the phone? Right? During the phone, they promised they're going to pay back on Friday, let's say. Did they actually pay back? There's a lot of those kind of information that they have. So these are all the requirements they had. And when building this use case, and this is the result actually we delivered, right? We were able to help them to really turn their data into something useful. And in their words, they believe using our technology is 240 times faster compared to their manual approach. And because we enable them to use more data, our model actually provides much better of predictability compared to their current manual process. And with that, the financial impact is that they were able to significantly lower their exposure to the bad debt in 30 days. So this is a very quick explanation about this particular customer. what did they do with us, and what was outcome they achieved. If you have any questions, you can go to our website to try our product. You can even schedule a meeting. But most importantly, in room 304, lunchtime, 1:30 p.m., lunchtime, very low-key, happy hour. We're going to do a product demo, and we're going to be answering any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thanks so much.